For more, let's bring in former CENTCOM Deputy Commander and retired Navy SEAL Robert Harward. He is a member of the Iran Policy Project, the Jewish Institute for the National Security of America, and former CIA Station Chief and Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman. Thank you both for being here this morning. Really appreciate it.
Good to be with you. Good to be here with Dan.
Good morning to you both. All right, so this news broke yesterday. Semaphore is reporting that Israel informed the U.S. this week that it's running critically low on ballistic missile interceptors. The quote is that the U.S. has been aware of Israel's low capacity for months. One U.S. official said it's something that we expected and anticipated. Vice Admiral Harward, you were Deputy CENTCOM Commander. How big of a deal is this?
Well, look, this is an unlimited war from the Iranian perspective. It's an existential threat to the regime. They're throwing everything at it they can. We've been very methodical, very direct, and still somewhat of a limited war. So our objectives to ensure they cannot launch those missiles hasn't changed from day one. So interceptors are important, but more importantly, have we incapacitated their ability to project power through missiles and drones? And we're seeing indicators of all of that already. And while we may have had attacks last night in Israel, in UAE, it was relatively quiet. In Saudi, it was quiet. So I think this war of attrition is tipping in our favor. So let's focus on that. I think that's the main point. When they cannot project power and we can move stuff through the straits, this thing comes to the end. And I think the comment the president said today, I think is very telling. He said, look, time doesn't matter. We're going to see this through to the end. And I think that's the most important element of all of this.
Yeah, sends a message for sure. Dan, obviously the markets are asking for military escorts for tankers through the Strait of Hormuz. We've discussed the challenge of even getting to that point. But in the interim, the Pentagon just deployed 2,500 Marines to address the challenges in the Strait. It'll allow the military basically to allow quick raids on the islands with logistics and air support, but there is a cost-benefit calculation here. The New York Times writes, with an East Coast Expeditionary Unit supporting the war in Venezuela and the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit deploying to the Middle East, the 31st is usually based out of Japan, there will be no quick response force to aid operations in the Pacific theater, including Korea and Taiwan. That leaves another gap in U.S. defenses atop the repositioning of critical air defenses from South Korea to the Middle East. Can you put that in layman's terms for us? Quantify this gap that they're talking about. How severe of an exposure really is this? And are you seeing any signs that America's adversaries are positioned to act on it?
Yeah, I think, look, there's an opportunity cost for our government of deploying our resources, military resources to the Middle East. It's not just the military, it's our intelligence collection as well. And frankly, the time that this administration is taking to focus on the war on Iran. And remember that Iran is the leading world sponsor of terrorism, state sponsor of terrorism, and we need to focus on the threat to the homeland as well at the same time. For sure, we've got our intelligence collection on high alert to see whether any of our adversaries are seeking to take advantage of our forces moving from one region to another. And at the same time, I think we're relying on our allies and partners in those regions to pick up the slack.
To that point, Vice Admiral, the president is asking for other countries to chip into this effort. He posted this: we've already destroyed 100% of Iran's military capability, but it's easy for them to send a drone or two, drop a mine, or deliver a close-range missile somewhere along or in this waterway, no matter how badly defeated they are. Hopefully China, France, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and others that are affected by this artificial constraint will send ships to the area so this Hormuz Strait can no longer be a threat by a nation that has been totally decapitated. How likely is it in your mind that some of those countries that he listed off are going to send their assets to this region? We saw how long it took to get the U.S. resources in place before this even started.
Well, I think as everyone starts feeling the pain, they're going to move in that direction. But I think it's also important to consider if we had not gone now. I'm just amazed by the people who are challenging why we're in this war. That homeland defense threat we're facing right now has been building for 20 years under this regime. That's nothing new. We've had to protect our officials in the U.S. for years because of a threat from Iran. Are you kidding me? That's completely unacceptable. We had to always face a threat on the Persian Gulf, the Straits of Hormuz. That was unacceptable, but presidents let it roll. We're finally acting on that, and our choice of when. If that had gone another 2 or 3 years unchallenged, you wouldn't be able to address it. So back to your question, the more they feel the pain, they're going to get involved. But again, I believe this is short-term pain them and all of us will feel. But we had to address this threat for the long-term well-being, because it could have gotten to the point where we could not have responded.
Dan, quick last word with 10 seconds left. Iran is saying that the Strait's open to everyone but the U.S. and Israel. Should anyone take them up on that offer?
No, I mean, I think they'd be aiding and abetting Iran's war effort if they did that. And look, Admiral Harward made this great point. Iran is in a use it or lose it scenario right now, where they're firing away the ballistic missiles and drones that they have. But we're taking the fight to the enemy. And I would just emphasize that the one lesson we learned from the Gulf War back in 1991 is don't stop short of fulfilling our strategic objectives. We let Saddam's army withdraw to Iraq from Kuwait pretty much intact. And if we don't finish the job against Iran, as the Israelis like to say, that we'll be looking at mowing the grass again down the road when Iran rearms and reconstitutes their ballistic missile nuclear program and their drone program.
All right, we are out of time. Gentlemen, thank you both so much. Really appreciate it.